What happens when a woman born into slavery asks the United States to pay the debt of slavery itself? Podcast. Welcome to another episode of Black History Mini-Docs Podcast. This time our story starts at the turn of the century. One formerly enslaved woman from Tennessee helped lead one of the earliest organized campaigns for reparations in American history. Her name was Callie House. Callie House. Callie House. She was not a senator, not a judge, not a wealthy activist with powerful backers. She was a widow, a mother of 5, and a washerwoman and seamstress who understood something many people in power did not want to hear: that freedom without justice is unfinished business. This is the story of Callie House and the movement that grew large enough to alarm the federal government. Act 1. A life shaped by slavery. Callie Guy House was born into slavery near Nashville, Tennessee, around 1861. That date is usually given as 1861, though exact records are difficult to confirm for enslaved people born in that era. She grew up in a world where slavery had already defined the lives of her family, her community, and her future. Later, she married William House and made her home in Nashville. She would raise 5 children. To support them, she worked as a washerwoman and seamstress. That matters, because Callie House did not begin her public life in a courtroom, a legislature, or a newspaper office. She began in the everyday struggle of Black working life in the post-slavery South. And yet, from that life, she would step into a national movement. Act 2. The idea that changed everything. In 1891, a pamphlet began circulating in Black communities in central Tennessee. Its title was Freedmen's Pension Bill, a plea for American freedmen. The pamphlet argued for financial compensation for formerly enslaved people. For Callie House, the idea was not abstract. It was personal. It spoke directly to the reality that millions of Black Americans faced after emancipation. Freedom without land, freedom without wealth, freedom without security, freedom without repair. The end of slavery had not ended suffering. For many, it had only changed its shape. That pamphlet helped pull Callie House into a cause that would define her life. A cause that was bold, controversial, and far ahead of its time. Act 3. Building the movement. In the 1890s, Callie House began organizing with Isaiah H. Dickerson. Dickerson was an educator and minister. Together, they helped build the National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief, Bounty, and Pension Association. The association was chartered in 1898. Its mission had 2 parts. First, it offered mutual aid, including support for the sick, the disabled, and burial expenses. Second, it petitioned Congress for pensions and compensation for formerly enslaved people. In other words, this was not just protest. It was organization, it was structure, it was strategy. The association collected membership dues to fund its work, its lobbying, its publications, and its travel. And Callie House became one of its most important public voices. She traveled across the South, speaking to Black communities and spreading the idea that formerly enslaved people had a legitimate claim to compensation. And the movement grew. According to historical accounts, membership expanded rapidly, first by tens of thousands, and by some estimates reaching into the hundreds of thousands. By around 1900, that kind of growth did something dangerous. It made the movement impossible to ignore. And once the movement became impossible to ignore, it became a target. Act 4. The government starts watching. By the late 1890s, federal attention intensified. 3 agencies became deeply involved in investigating the movement: the Bureau of Pensions, the Post Office Department, and the Department of Justice. The government did not treat the association as a simple petitioning organization. It treated it like a threat. On September 20th, 1899, the post office issued a fraud order against the National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief, Bounty and Pension Association, and several of its officers, including Callie House. That order blocked mail and money orders connected to the organization. Letters were returned marked fraudulent. Some were simply withheld. For a grassroots movement that depended on correspondence, circulars, and membership networks, that was devastating. The accusation was serious, but the historical record shows that the government did not have solid evidence proving that Callie House was defrauding anyone. Still, the pressure continued. The message was clear. This movement was not welcome, and Callie House did not back away. Act 5, a woman who kept pushing. As the movement faced increasing opposition, House kept going. She continued to defend the association. She and other officers argued that they had a constitutional right to petition the government for redress of grievances. And they had a point. Their cause was rooted in a basic question of justice. If the United States compensated Union veterans for their service, why should formerly enslaved people not be compensated for their years of forced, unpaid labor? That question sat at the center of the movement. It was morally powerful, politically uncomfortable, and historically explosive. In 1909, Isaiah Dickerson died. After that, Callie House became even more central to the movement. She did not disappear, she did not retreat, she remained at the forefront. Then in 1915, the association filed a federal lawsuit seeking compensation tied to a tax collected on cotton between 1862 and 1868. This case is often described as the first documented African-American reparations litigation at the federal level. The lawsuit was unsuccessful, but the fact that it was filed at all mattered. It showed that Callie House and her allies were not only organizing in the streets and through petitions, they were testing the legal system itself, and that made the next chapter more dangerous. Act 6, the crackdown. As the government's pressure intensified, Callie House was arrested and indicted on mail fraud charges. She denied the accusations. She said the association had not guaranteed pensions or claimed that a law had already been passed. And historical accounts show there was no definitive evidence that she had profited from the movement. Still, the case moved forward. In September 1917, after a trial, an all-white male jury convicted her. She was sentenced to 1 year in prison in Jefferson City, Missouri. She served most of that sentence, from November 1917 to August 1918. And with that conviction, the movement was effectively broken, not because the question had been answered, not because the injustice had been resolved, but because the government had succeeded in silencing one of the people leading the fight. Act 7, Epilogue, What They Tried to Erase. Callie House died in 1928 in Nashville, Tennessee. She was around 67 years old. For decades, her name was not widely known. But history did not end with her conviction. It kept moving. Modern scholars have identified Callie House as one of the earliest leaders of the reparations movement in the United States. Some have called her the foremother of the reparations movement. That is not a poetic exaggeration. It is a factual recognition of what she did. She organized, she petitioned, she built institutions, she challenged the government. She demanded a response to slavery's unpaid labor and its long aftermath. And she did all of that before most Americans were willing to even have the conversation. The story of Callie House is not just a story about the past. It is a story about the power of Black organizing, about the risk of demanding justice in a country built on denial, about what happens when ordinary people insist that history must be answered. Callie House asked a question that still echoes today. What does a nation owe the people it has harmed? She did not live to see reparations become a modern national debate, but she helped launch the struggle, and that makes her story not only important, but essential. This has been Black History Mini Docs. I'm your narrator, Digital Live, and this was Callie House, the woman the government tried to silence.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.
Black History Mini Docs podcast is brought to you by Buzzsprout and available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and all of the rest.